Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a couple of overviews to do for you. So, two knives were sent in by White Mountain Knives, and I really appreciate them sending these in. So, a big shout out to Justin over there. Definitely go check out whitemountainKnives.com. Use my code LeftyEDC. You'll get 10% off and free shipping in the US. So definitely a good deal. So I have the Wee Knives Makani, and I have the Civivi Sokoke. I don't know how you say it. Sokoke, something like that. But yeah, so I have these two. Let's knock out the big dog first. This is the Makani, and I gotta say, there's one thing on this knife that really just, I don't understand it at all. Other than that, it's really, really good. And honestly, I highly recommend this knife if you're okay with puke ano. You know, that's what I call it. I call this puke ano because look at it. It's on the collar. It's on the clip. It's on the backspacer. You know, maybe if it was just a backspacer, it'd be fine because it's just cool accent or something. I don't know what they were thinking. They put it on every single model you can get of this knife. So, for example, let me just do this real quick. The Makani here. Looking on whitemountainKnives.com right now. You have a version that is black tie with a hand satin finish. And then it has a puke ano inlay. When I say puke, I mean lightning ano, which is from 2017. They call it flamed blue titanium, but I don't really understand that because they have flame tie stuff like the Roxy 3 and the Malice, and those honestly don't look anything like this, so I don't understand that. But anyway, they have that version. And then it obviously has the clip backspacer and pivot collar on one side that has the puke ano, and that is $319. Then you have a version with black tie and a copper infused carbon fiber inlay, puke ano, blah blah blah, hand satin, $319. Another one for $319 is that the one we have here? Yep, the one we have here. So you can see that layout, hand satin, gray tie or stonewash tie, aluminum infused inlay, puke ano. Then we have an all blacked out one. This is where you're like, okay, so they did an all blacked out one with a PVD blade or whatever, PVD handle, no inlay. And, you know, of course, they went with all black on the clip, collar, and backspacer to murder this puppy out, right? Nope. They went ahead and puke anoed you on the collar, clip, and backspacer again. And that one's $299. So, you know, I think you could have had a version that was like $275 or $250, you know, without the puke ano, and it would be sort of a neutral one. Then they have the same thing in all gray tie, right? All stonewash, no inlay. And, again, hand rub satin. And then, boom. They hit you with the puke ano again. So there is not a single version of the Makani that does not have this puke ano. That one's $299 as well. So you're looking at an entry point of $299 on this guy. And you're forced to have puke ano. And that is where my contention lies with this model. Because this is one of the first Wiis in a long, long time that I really like. Like, I really like this. It's unique. It's different. It almost doesn't seem like a Wii knife. And then they just crush my soul with the freaking lightning ano. Like, yeah, could I send this to somebody and have them remove it and do whatever? Yeah, sure. But I'm paying $320 partially because of the puke ano. I just don't understand it. Like, I get it on one or two models. Like, maybe if you did it on the one that has the inlay with it, cool, great. And then maybe one other one. But they all 5 versions have it. It's just mind-boggling to me. So, yeah, there's that. Now, I believe this is from a designer. Yep, Anton Tkachenko. So Anton Tkachenko is the designer of this. It is in 20 CV steel. It is actually numbered. So these are like the limited ones that you see. So this is number 64 of 200, CPM 20 CB. I like how they kind of hide that away. You have the Wii logo here in the pivot. That's cool with me. You got the inlay. The inlay is not perfectly flush. It's not close to Riot level. I think what they were going for was a little bit of a raised sort of contoured finish to it. But I don't know. It just feels like they did that so they could avoid having to make it perfectly flush, right? You can see that one sort of imperfection, if you want to call it that, if you look at it on an angle here. This material is really tough, guys. I honestly would not use it if I was a knife company at this point, because I've used it on my own project with the stout, and I know how difficult this stuff is to work with. If it's not sanded down perfectly, it'll fray, and then you can chip chunks out, and it can be a pain. We literally had to personally hand sand like 80 sets of scales we got from QSP that just were not perfect. So this stuff's tough, but Wii does a good job with it. There's no divots. There's nothing I can catch. It's just aesthetic that you see that. And a lot of people don't like that. They think it's uneven or whatever. I really like the look of it. I just think the copper stuff is easier to work with. We had no problems with the copper stuff. But, you know, you got to wear a face mask and, like, you know, and really sand it down. And it's just, you know, it's tough. But it's cool. I like it. You're dead centered. You got a beautiful looking knife here. Really. I honestly love it. I love this knife. The more I handle it, the more I love it. Now, the clip, you know, somebody pointed out in a short I posted, they said it looks like a potato peeler, and it does. But I think if it was just plain titanium, it would look fine, you know. But the fact that it's, you know, puke anno kind of makes it stand out a little bit more. They did make it so the pressure is on the frame over here. You do have a flipper tab with some nice jimping on it. And then when you open the knife, you have a nice svelte kind of spear point, drop point blade. Really nicely done. Hand satin. This fuller is gorgeous. I just love how that fuller is done. I mean, it kind of has some Sharp by Design vibes, and I mean that as a biggest compliment. Really nice forward finger choil right here. You have a very sleek and slim profile. Just the whole way, everything is kind of angled and rounded at the same time. It's just a really sweet piece. Size-wise, it's, you know, it's got a good size to it. I mean, I'd say it's close to 3.5. Let me grab the, here's the Quiet Carry 9. You can see it's quite a bit bigger than the 9. So let's grab the Evo 2. This is a 3.5-inch blade. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, just about the same, maybe slightly bigger than the Evo here. Grab the Mini FSD. Bigger than the Mini FSD. What do I have that's a larger size? I don't think I have a lot, honestly. I thought I just got something that was larger, but I may have sent it out for a pass round. I'm not sure. What's on me? Nothing large. So let's try the measuring then. We'll grab a ruler here. So if we go to the tip here, we're looking at 3.6 on the blade. And then on the handle, you're looking at 4 3/4-ish, 4.6. So pretty substantial knife there. You know, I wouldn't mind it being a little smaller, but it doesn't feel large to me, honestly. It's just got a really good feel and weight. This is why I'm so upset about it, you know, about the Puke Anno. Because even though this knife isn't necessarily my style, being, you know, flipper and whatnot, frame lock, righty frame lock, it's just so damn sexy, and it really has a fun action to it and everything. So I kind of want one, but you know, that one thing just drives me bonkers. All right, so we talked about aesthetics. Absolutely stunning. Ergonomics are just as good. I mean, it really is just melt in your hand fantastic. Choil works like an absolute dream. There's no jimping up here, and there's a swedge along the spine, so you do have quite a thin area that you're resting your thumb on, but this is not going to be a hard use knife for anybody. Beautiful hand satin, comes down to a nice thin edge. She's nice and sharp. You know, I didn't cut a bunch of stuff really because it's a loaner from White Mountain, but I can tell you it would be a really good EDC knife. And, you know, in a pinch, I'm sure it would do some work, but that swedge would, you know, make it a little bit uncomfortable, I think. Again, we're dead centered down the line. We really kills it with that. Their bearings in here are really nice. They do seem to be a plastic caged variety, which is nice. A little bit different, but it's hard to tell for sure. They usually use brass cage, but it feels different. It feels really smooth. You have a sort of garaged style internal stop pin. So you can see that stop pin there. And then as it goes around, it's going in a track inside the handle there. If you can see that. And then it comes around, boop, and locks up right there. Lock up, perfect. You know, you're at like 30%. Nice, crisp disengagement. Good lockup. It doesn't need a pop to lock up. It shoots right over. No stick of any kind. Super buttery smooth. Yeah, it is really flipping cool. Ergos are cutting. Carry, you know, it carries well. You know, I carried it in my back left pocket. The clip works well. You can see the retention's good. It goes in and out of pocket really well. As ugly as this clip is, it works really well. I do like how it's designed up here. It's just that slot kind of gives it that potato peeler look. But I do like that it has the slot. Keeps this side kind of open, which looks cool. You do have the outside relief cut, which, you know, on a knife this cool looking, it would be nice if it was internal, but not the end of the world for me. You have matching hardware here. It's going to be all T8, which is nice. One thing to note is there's no hardware on this side except for the pivot with the logo. So you can see there's no hardware, which is really neat. So these screws go through the backspacer and into this scale and suck that in. And that is how it is mounted in there. And then your inlay is obviously glued in, which is cool. You can see the raised areas on the scale right here. See that? Comes around the pivot. It's just such a cool design. I mean, I really dig it. So, Carrie, you do have a lanyard hole back here. So if you wanted to lanyard it, you have a spot there for it. Obviously, you have an over travel stop and all that good stuff. So, sounds. Oops. So, sounds are really good in my opinion. Just has a really nice lockup sound. Nice click on the close. It's basically anything I could ask for. So, 7 out of 10. It's not doing anything crazy, but it's really good. Everything feels right. Doesn't have any dull thuds. Nice click. And like I said, the lockup sound, really nice. Action / fidget factor, you know, I'm not a big flipper only guy, as you guys know, but sometimes I make exceptions. Like, I'm literally carrying my shank knives ally, which, man, this slip is just patinaing like a beast. It's a special kind of Pueblo leather or Butero, I can't remember, that has sort of a black, what do they call it, oil or black something over it, and it wears off over time, and you see the real color come through. It's just amazing. But my shank knives ally here that I absolutely love is flipper only. And it gets away with it because the action is so fun and different, being a push button style. Being a push button style, really smooth drop. I mean, USA made. It's just different, honestly. Just a really different knife, and I appreciate that about it, right? Look at this. Oh, man, it's sexy. This is very similar in the sense that it has a really fun push button action. Now, the detent, could it be stronger? Yeah, I mean, I kind of pinched it there. Let's try to, deploy it. Still pinching. Let's give it a little flick. There we go. So, yes, I can fail it, right? You can hear it clicking. Solid. Now, they did set it up so you can use this fuller. And because the detent's not too strong, it does allow you to flick it. Now, it isn't the sharpest corner on the fuller, so you can kind of miss it or not get it strong enough. But it is good enough that if you had this knife for any meaningful amount of time, you would get used to how to do it. It's kind of like the F5.5, where you don't necessarily put your fingernail in there and like rip it up, right? At least I don't. You put your finger in the meat and then you push. Detent pops and then the blade pops out, right? You just kind of push and it pops out like that, right? I would consider this the same way. You put pressure down into that fuller and then push forward, and you just kind of figure out how to use it. And then you add that to a flick, kind of. So you're kind of pushing and flicking on this guy, right? So it's not like the best flicker, but it's nice that it does it. Thumb flick for me is impossible because the lock bar is there, and I don't know, I can't get it. Flipper tab, though, is where it's at. It is a super fun flipper tab to deploy, whether you want to give it the old light switch or you want to pop it for a push button. Whoops, we went right over that. I really enjoy this, if you can't tell. Left-handed works just as well. Left-handed on that flipper tab, maybe even better. The reverse flick left-handed is a little harder. You kind of have to sit up on this pivot and kind of give it a little flick and kind of wrist it at the same time so that you don't, yeah. But it works. I mean, if you're left-handed and you really love this design, it does work. Thumb flick lefty, I never really tried it. There you go. You could do it. But again, it's not the sharpest fuller, so you got to, you kind of got to wrist it at the same time. And you can get it, but, for the most part, I'm over here flipping this with the flipper. Would that get old for me over time if I bought this myself? Probably. But every knife kind of gets old after a few days for me. It's like just the nature of what I do with the channel and everything. It's unfortunate, but it's also awesome because I get to try all this different stuff. So anyway, really, really good on that. And then the closing, I mean, it comes down as far as you want it to, and it is so smooth. It's not drop shut, but no wheeze really are. It's just got this gliding, smooth. I think it's what a lot of people love about Wii, I appreciate it in many of their knives, but in others I don't, where I want the guillotine. In this knife, it matches perfectly. It's kind of got a Shiro-esque feel. It is absolute butter in there. I mean, it truly is buttery smooth. When you say that term, this is the knife I think of. Just really well done. So that brings us full circle. to where if you cannot tell, I fucking love this knife. I have only one thing I don't like about the knife, and that is the freaking puke anno all over it. If they had not have done that, I would already have bought one of these in whichever variation made me the happiest. Probably that black handle with the black copper carbon fiber in the hand satin. I'm still tempted to do it and then have it modded. But ultimately, I know, it probably wouldn't stick around long term as much as I love it. So I probably won't get it. But if one ended up in the collection, I would not be upset. So it's a really, really good knife. And I hate that there's something really nitpicky, something really pet peevey for me to pick on, So if we, for some god reason, is watching this, just come back out with this knife and get rid of this puke anno. Like, knock 20. I don't even care. Don't even change the price. Charge me more. I don't care. Just get rid of this shit. Imagine if, like, you had this model, right? Exactly the same, except for all of those pieces were black. And then the hardware was black or something. Or even just, let's just say it was all gray stone. I don't care. Just something. But all black. That black would be, dude. Oh, man. But whatever. They didn't do that. One other thing I want to note that's a little goofy to me is how the fuller runs up here. It's one design thing that sticks out to me when everything else on this knife is just like perfectly, I don't know, just fitted, It just seems weird that the fuller runs up to here and then sticks out the top here a little bit. I don't know why that just catches me a little bit. When it's open, obviously that part is up here, but I don't really get it because you see, it's not showing when open. So they could have done a couple things. I mean, you guys, I'm just sitting here doing this on the spot, so like I can't picture everything geometry wise in my head, but like, couldn't you have just not had that? Couldn't you have just ran that blade, cut it right here to come down with the handle, or brought the handle up? Now, you couldn't have done the handle part because then you would have that would be sticking into your choil area probably. But you could have just cut the blade there because when it's open, that part of the blade's hidden under here. So there's really no reason for that fuller to go the full length other than you actually want, blood to groove out. But it could just be a design feature. Like the designer, Anton, likes having that there. I don't know. It just catches my eye in a weird way. Like, or what I think would have worked is just not have the fuller be there. You could keep everything the same and just have the fuller end somewhere inside of the handle here. Because again, you don't see it when it's open. So I don't know. It just seems odd to me. But I'm sure there's a good reason. Anyway, this knife is fantastic, and I've rambled way too long about it. That's the Wee Knives Makani. If you can get past the puke, then I think you have a really cool knife on your hands. So definitely recommend this guy. I just have to have a little fun about the puke anno because it's literally 5 years late, but whatever. The next one is the Civivi Sokoke, or Soko, whatever you want to call it. It's a Ray Laconico design, and I have the fancy pants version here. This one's $93.50. Now, I want to start by saying in my unboxing, I was a little harsh on it and Ray. I love Ray, and I'm just kind of poking fun, and I'm being more sarcastic than anything. But sometimes I feel like designers, a lot of things look the same, right? And that's kind of just how I felt about that at the time, and I kind of feel bad for saying it. Because it is a cool design and it is unique in a way. It's not like, it's not like every other knife. I mean, it's got similarities like the Esprit and the Andromeda and some other stuff he's done before already, but I don't know. I think it was kind of a stupid thing to say. He's a designer, and he has a style, and people love that style. So, I'm sure he does too. So why wouldn't he design knives like that? And also, what do I know? So I just want to put that out there. But this is the Sokoke, and I think it's cool. I think it's a good knife. It just doesn't excite me, That's kind of the best way for me to put it. So aesthetically, it's got this interesting kind of handle that kind of flexes out, kind of coffins here, and then comes down. The black hardware is nice. This is black linen micarta. I really don't like it at all. Never been a linen micarta guy. Again, 9350 on this one in Damascus, which is going to be a 9CR base, but still, just not a fan of that stuff. And I hate the dark etch on it that they do. You can get the base version of this in, let's see, green burlap with a black blade, 14C, or brown linen with a drop point blade, bead blast finished 14C. Those are $65.50. And then you have a black G10 with bead blast finish for $62.99. Those are available at the moment. The G10 one, the other ones are sold out. Well, this one's available at $93.50. So starting at $62, and it's a Civivi knife, so I get it. But it's kind of like, okay, we get the micarta and we get black G10. Yay. I wish they would start doing titanium or something. Like, I know it costs more, but it could be $80 and have titanium in 14C. Like, just switching it up a little bit would be cool. They seem to always do the same patterns. Like, you just know what's coming. Black with Damascus. Green and brown with bead blast, and then a G10 with bead blast, right? Or a black blade. So they're becoming predictable. And I think that's what caught me with this, where I was like, Civivi's always doing the same thing, and then I'm seeing a similar design, and it just kind of, sparked something there for me. But it's a good-looking knife. It's got a nice kind of sheep's point blade. It kind of has a sheep's foot look to it, but it's, a spear point, essentially. I guess it does drop, so maybe it's a drop point. Yeah, I guess call it a drop point. Doesn't matter. You do have I believe, a flat grind. At least that's what it feels like to me. Let's see if they say plain edge. We still call things plain edge. 58 to 60 on the Damascus. Let's just see. Let me put this on top so we can get a look. Yep, flat. So it's very thin. That's kind of what caught me. I was like, oh, maybe it's, flat spine, but very thin. So definitely slicey. I only cut a couple things with this, but it did a good job. We all know what you're going to get from Civivi. You got the Laconico here instead of along the top. And other than that, you just have the blacked out C. So pretty good on the billboarding. Not much. Where's the steel? I guess they don't put Damascus on here. Maybe the other ones have it down there somewhere. You have a interesting clip. It's kind of a more low profile clip than what they usually use. It's longer, I feel like, and then it kind of just comes down. It kind of reminds me of the clip we used on the Growler that some people liked and some people didn't. It's a little shorter, ours is, but it's got a very similar kind of idea to it. It sits up a little higher on this one, but so it's going to be kind of a love it or hate it. I think it feels great in the hand. It works good in the pocket, so I don't have an issue with it. You have thumb studs, obviously, which are well done. Classic Civivi here. The detent is money. At first, stuff needs to break in, and first couple flips, I might have thought it was a little light, but since then, I mean, it really pops out when you want to fire it, and you can easily reverse flick it, thumb flick it, front flip it when you don't have a split kind of thumb. There you go, lefty. Reversible clip. All works left-handed. Ergos are good. Very neutral kind of handle. A little bit of a swell, but that's it. You don't have much of a cutout for lock bar access. So, you know, not the best access, but it works pretty well, honestly. I can get in there, no problem. Lock up. Pops in there real quick, and that shows us something I want to talk about in a second. But you can see the lockup's good. Right about 25-30%, and it kicks. Right? You're not going to worry about it not locking up. I don't really do spine wax on everything, but I probably should. So there's that one. Yep, no issues on a basic spine whack anyway. Centering, dead down the center. You're good to go. You do have a matching backspacer, which I think is hideous. I wish they would just do a G10 backspacer or something like that. I hate when it matches the handle. It just kind of doesn't look right. I also don't like when you have a blacked out knife and then you have an obvious stainless steel piece in there. Now, that's a nice big stop pin. I do like that, but I don't know. One other thing I wanted to note is obviously it's a nested liner lock. Well, yeah, nested liner lock. Very well done in that sense. There's this weird jimping right here. Or fragging. I don't know what you would call this. What would you call that? When it's closed, it's in the handle. When it's open, it's right there. So are you meant to climb up here and hold that? Like, is it like a forward finger choil jimping? I don't know. I just was curious what that was for. It's fine. It's just interesting to me. You have this sort of ribbing or jimping sort of on the inside of the liner. If you look at that on the lock bar, that looks interesting to me too. Kind of different. And it matches this sort of. And then that matches. It's kind of unique. I like it. It's cool. So I kind of went all out of order there and whatever. The action's good. Like I said, the detent's solid. The closing action is where it's not great. It'll kind of come down a little bit, and then you're doing some shaking. It's not a guillotine. I'm sure it would break in if you spent weeks with it or took it apart and did whatever you wanted to. This one's just on regular brass bearings. If you're wondering, it's going to be 5mm or 1/16. If you wanted to swap them. But yeah, it's a cool knife. It is. So, first impression of it wasn't as good as I'd say my final take on this is. It's a really solid offering from Civivi, and I see why a lot of people like it. So, you got another couple of good designs here in the Sokoke, and the Makani here is, man, this knife is fantastic. Just get rid of that puke ano, and it's a home run, honestly. So, I'm going to shut up now. 33 minutes into a 2-knife review. Jeez, overview. Before all the people come after me because I didn't, cut a horse with this thing. I love you guys. I really do. I appreciate all of you that stick through these videos and listen to all my nonsense. So, really appreciate that. If you made it this far and, you aren't subscribed, I would appreciate that. Hit the like button or whatever. Leave a comment. Let me know how you disagree with my opinions in this video because I'm sure a lot of people will. And keep in mind, it is just my opinion, right? And I turn the camera on and I just start blabbing. So, think about that too. I don't write shit down. I don't censor myself. I just say what I think. So, sometimes I say dumb shit, but there you go. Cool knives. So, check them out at whitemountainknives.com. Links are in the description. Use that code LeftyEDC. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.